I once bragged that the top idol I'd had a crush on in high school, Jason, actually liked me back. I never thought that 8 years later, at a class reunion, I'd find out it was true. Even the QQ message he sent me back then was still quietly lying in that old phone. He even repeated a year and gave up going to Tsinghua because of me. But now he's a wildly popular, red-hot superstar, while I'm just an ordinary assistant. And right this moment, he actually admitted on a live stream that he'd liked me since we were teenagers, all because he saw me getting bullied by some punks back then and stepped in to beat them up. At the reunion, after 8 years apart, the class monitor sneaked up to my ear like it was classified intel. "I've got a secret Jason had a crush on you." I went through a whole process to find my old phone and log back into that abandoned QQ account. And there it was. That message. "Which college do you want to go to? Can I go with you?" Just sitting there in my inbox. But by then, Jason had already become the biggest name of the moment. The sun was brutal that day. I was dizzy from the heat. And if you looked closely, you could probably see the concrete shimmering. Traffic was jammed for ages. So to avoid being late, I just got out and ran to the airport. 30 minutes to go before Jason's plane landed. He was someone our company had spent a fortune to invite, a headline-grabbing superstar, and also my high school classmate. After I bombed the college entrance exam, I changed my QQ and cut ties with everyone. But 2 days ago, at that reunion after 8 years, the class monitor leaned over all mysterious. "I've got a secret Jason had a crush on you." My heart skipped several beats, and I laughed it off. Jason had a crush on me? No way. Even web novels wouldn't dare write something that ridiculous. He's Jason. If every fangirl online just spat once, I'd drown. Anybody could like me, but definitely not Jason. We were never in the same league. Back in high school, he probably couldn't stand me. All his stats are no one. His name dominates the trending searches over and over. 0 scandals. At this point, he's every brand's favorite target. But he's like a breath of fresh air in showbiz, only focused on his acting career, never takes ads. So the fact that he suddenly agreed to collaborate with our company caused quite a stir in the circle. You have to know, tons of big companies were lined up before us, offering him olive branches. But he chose us, and us alone. Our boss was so excited, he called several emergency meetings in a row that night. And somehow, in the end, the pickup at the airport task landed on me. The boss patted my shoulder like he was entrusting me with national secrets. "Isabel, you make sure Jason is well taken care of, okay? Best if you just go with whatever he says. Let him really feel at home working with us." I thumped my chest and promised. "Got it, boss. I'll do my absolute best." That's what I said. But I was panicking inside. In my memory, we barely knew each other in high school. Hardly crossed paths. But I was still kind of scared of him. He always looked so fierce. Jason didn't really talk to people. He'd just lounge in the back row, propping his chin up with one hand. Dark eyes, sharp nose. And when he looked at people, there was always this hint of detachment. That was what Jason was like in high school. I stepped into the airport and checked the time right on schedule. What I didn't expect was that the place was absolutely packed. Fans everywhere. I didn't even have time to be shocked before people started screaming. "Jason's here! God, he's here! Ah, it's really him. He's so handsome." He looked at me. He looked at me. I sighed to myself. Sure enough, the pull of a top idol is no joke. Jason was popular even in high school. Even when he always wore that stormy face like the whole world owed him money. That insanely good-looking face of his seemed blessed from birth, making everyone's eyes drift to him without thinking. I'd been drawn to him too. But every time I looked over, he'd avoid my gaze. His brows would even crease a little. After that happened a few times, I stopped looking. I figured people should know their place. Back then, I was the study commissioner of the class, but I was the kind who only knew how to bury her head in books. Because the thing I heard most growing up was, "Isabel, You have to work hard. You have to work harder than everyone else. We don't have connections. Only if you study hard will you have the right to compete for a good future with those kids who were born at the starting line. So my childhood was especially dull. I don't even know if I was happy. I just got used to living like that, like it was what I was supposed to do. My classmates talked behind my back and called me a nerd. So back then I figured someone like Jason would definitely hate someone like me. I was lost in my memories when the screaming around me suddenly died down. A shadow fell over my head. I looked up, and the handsome man in front of me slowly overlapped with the face from my memories. Unlike that brash teenager, he was now calm and dignified. Security and staff had him surrounded, and Jason's expression looked lazy and casual. He reached his hand out to me, his cool voice slipping right into my ear. "Hi, I'm Jason." I stared for a second. He didn't remember me. Of course. Why would he? Back in high school, I barely existed. But the moment our hands touched, Jason smiled. Just a little. His big hand wrapped around mine. Jason hardly ever smiles on camera, so the fans around us went wild again just because of that one smile. More screams, cameras clicking non-stop. It was so noisy. But I still heard what Jason said. He said, "Isabel, long time no see." That lazy drawl made my heart go all tingly. Maybe it was just too hot today, my face was burning. I wiped the sweat off my cheeks and said softly, "Long time no see, Jason. I'm from Shenghua. I'm the one in charge of picking you up today." When we finally stepped out of the airport, the luxury car the company had sent for Jason was still stuck in traffic. The sun was blindingly bright, so harsh I could barely keep my eyes open. Suddenly, Jason took a step forward, and his shadow fell perfectly over me, shielding me from the burning light. I looked up at him. His expression hadn't changed at all. I had to admit, he really had changed so much, once so arrogant, now so composed. By the time we got to the company, Jessica and her team were already waiting in the conference room. Jessica, the hottest actress of the moment. The second she saw Jason, she stood up and greeted him like an old friend. They'd already worked together in 3 dramas, always as the male and female leads. None of them were love stories, yet the internet was full of people shipping them as a couple. This time, the 2 of them were going to shoot a perfume commercial for our company. Watching them stand there talking, I had to admit they really were a perfect match, looks-wise. Once everyone had arrived, the boss called the meeting to order. After some polite small talk, Jason suddenly spoke up. "Mr. Jack, my assistant's on leave right now, so I was hoping your company could assign someone to temporarily fill the role." Jason was a superstar. Of course, such a small request had to be granted. The boss glanced around the room and met my eyes. A bad feeling crept over me. "No, please don't, boss!" I silently begged, shaking my head frantically, blinking at him in warning. But he acted like he didn't see a thing and pointed right at me. "How about Isabel? I heard you 2 went to the same high school, so you should already know each other a bit." "Know each other, my ass, we barely ever spoke." Unpleasant memories from that alleyway in high school flashed through my mind. I slammed my hand on the table, loud and firm. "I'm not worthy." Jason looked up at me, his eyes carrying a dangerous edge. Reason. Feeling every pair of eyes in the room on me, I forced myself to explain. "I just think someone of Mr. Jason's status deserves a more capable assistant. I'm afraid my abilities aren't up to the task." I sat down nervously. The room fell silent. Everyone instinctively turned to Jason. He leaned back in his chair slightly, long fingers tapping the table, his tone calm. "Mr. Jack, I'm a sentimental person. I like working with people I've known. If your company can't even show that small bit of sincerity, then maybe this partnership isn't necessary." Though his words were aimed at my boss, Jason's eyes stayed locked on me. I felt my stomach twist. At that point, my boss couldn't care less about my feelings. He smiled widely at Jason. Of course. That's no problem. It's Isabel's great fortune to serve as your assistant, mister. Jason, don't worry, Belle's just being humble. She's actually quite capable. She'll definitely do her best to make you feel at home while working with us. When the meeting ended, Jason stayed seated while I quietly tried to slip out with the others. But as I passed behind him, a hand grabbed my wrist. Jason spoke in a low, teasing voice. We were in the same class in high school, and you still don't want anything to do with me? Isabel, you used to avoid me like I was contagious. But this isn't high school anymore, so tell me why. I took a step back. With so many people watching, one photo could hit the trending list in minutes. But Jason clearly wasn't planning to let me go. He bent forward, leaning closer, his voice deep and smooth. Old classmate? I dropped my gaze. I didn't even need a mirror to know my face was bright red. Jason clicked his tongue, displeased by how timid I looked. His hand slid from my shoulder to the back of my neck. The cold metal of his watch brushed my skin, sending a shiver down my spine. I squirmed uneasily and looked up at him. Jason's face had turned dark, almost stormy. I heard him grit his teeth. Your boss said you have to make me feel at home here, Isabel. Not a little bit less. I'd always been the type to bow to reality. After bombing the college entrance exam, I went to an average university. Getting into Shenghua at all was pure dumb luck. To keep my job, I immediately smiled sweetly at him. Of course, Jason. I'll do everything I can to make you feel at home. It's an honor to be your assistant. I met his gaze with what I hoped looked like sincerity. We were standing very close. Jason suddenly looked away, breaking eye contact. Well, it's not like it has to be you, he said casually. But since we're old classmates, it'll be easier to get along. I nodded on the outside, but inside I was dying. Easier to get along? We barely talked back then every time our eyes met. He'd frown. So honestly, I didn't know much about Jason at all. But since I was going to be his personal assistant, I had to understand his habits and preferences. To get everything in order, I stayed late at the office to work on his profile. By the time I finished, night had completely fallen. I shut down my computer and stood up to leave. In the hallway, a familiar figure caught my eye. It was Jason. In the dim light, he was leaning against the wall, a cigarette between his lips. The metal lighter in his hand glinted coldly under the weak light. He must have just lit up. Every now and then he glanced down at his phone. The faint glow from the screen cast shadows across his face, making his expression unreadable. Jason, I called softly. He turned, instinctively snuffing out the cigarette. Off work? I nodded. Why are you still here? Jason looked awkward. Oh, your company's pretty big. I was just looking around and lost track of time. What a lame excuse. No one would buy that. But I didn't dare call him out. Yeah, it is pretty big, I said politely. Then silence fell between us. I kept my face calm, but my hands were practically digging into my purse. So awkward. What do I even say? Finally, Jason broke the silence. Heading home? I'll give you a ride. I waved my hands quickly, a little too loudly. No, it's fine. I'll just grab a cab. Jason looked at me, chuckled softly, then grabbed the back of my neck and gently pushed me forward. Come on, we're old classmates. Don't make it weird. It's on my way. And just like that, I ended up in Jason's car for the first time in my life, sitting in a luxury one, but I hadn't even told him where I lived. Yet Jason drove straight there like he'd known all along. And sure enough, he pulled up right in front of my building. I was about to ask how the hell he knew my address when Jason spoke first. Isabel. Yeah? What is it? He didn't look at me, his eyes fixed ahead. One strong hand resting on the steering wheel like he was gathering his thoughts. Do you still use your QQ account? I blinked, confused. Which QQ account are you talking about? The one you wrote in the class contact list. Jason turned to me then, and if you looked closely, there was a trace of tension in his dark eyes. I shook my head. No, I stopped using it after the college entrance exam results came out. I changed my account. Jason let out what sounded like a quiet sigh of relief and muttered under his breath. So you stopped using it. You didn't ignore me on purpose. Huh? I looked at him blankly. What? Jason looked back at me, a smile tugging at his lips, one he couldn't quite hide. Isabel, I was planning to take things slow, but I don't want to anymore. We're adults, no point beating around the bush. Jason, what are you talking about? He leaned back lazily in his seat, voice casual. Go home. Log into your old QQ. You'll see. Jason's words were so vague that the moment I got home, I started tearing the place apart looking for my old high school phone. The problem was, I couldn't remember my QQ account. Password, heck, not even the phone number it was linked to. It took me a whole hour, an entire hour before I finally found it. The phone was tucked inside a small box, covered in dust. Alongside it were my high school certificates. Seeing all that again brought back a flood of memories. I really was a good student back then, the most hard-working kid in class. While everyone else played around, I studied. I always ranked first on every exam, and my parents were so proud of me. But then came the college entrance exam, and I failed. Everyone thought I'd do amazingly well. Instead, I got a score that disappointed everyone. But honestly, I wasn't surprised. The moment I walked out of that exam room, I already knew. I knew how off I'd been, how nervous I was. Everyone's expectations were just too high. Everyone kept saying, "Do your best, or you'll let us down." But in that exam room, I couldn't stop my hands from shaking. My breathing got uneven. I kept worrying I wouldn't have enough time, so I kept glancing up at the clock on the wall, until I ended up not finishing a huge chunk of the test. That first exam's panic followed me through the last one. I didn't dare tell anyone. My parents had such high hopes for me. When the results came out, they immediately signed me up for a retake year. Didn't even ask if I wanted it. They looked at me, full of disappointment. You really let us down. Do you know how much face we've lost because of you? That was the moment I realized my grades were the only thing they were proud of as parents. Everyone assumed I'd repeat the year. But that summer, I quietly packed my things. I changed my QQ account, cut ties with all my high school classmates, and had my first big argument with my family. I went to an ordinary college, but I was happy with it. For the first time, I'd chosen how to live my own life. Do I regret it? Not at all. If I could go back, I'd do it all the same. I was just a teenager. I deserved to be happy. Grades weren't everything my youth was about. I'd already missed out on so much. I wasn't going to do it again. I wiped the dust off my old phone, connected it to Wi-Fi, and logged into that abandoned QQ account. There were so many old messages, but Jason's was pinned right at the top. I clicked and started reading from the beginning. The 23rd of June, 2015. Isabel, which university do you want to go to? Can I go with you? June 24. I heard your exam didn't go well. I don't know how to comfort you, but to me, you're still amazing. June 29. Everyone's saying you're repeating the year. It's fine. No big deal. I'll do it with you. August 31. Unbelievable, Isabel. You didn't show up for the repeat year, and here I am. The messages stopped in late June 2016. Isabel. I got into Tsinghua. I stared at the screen for a long while. So the class monitor wasn't lying. Jason really had liked me. But that didn't make sense. We barely interacted in high school. The only times we talked were when I collected homework. Everyone was scared of Jason, too intimidated to ask him to hand it in, so as class monitor, I had to do it. But I was scared too. Jason, I'd say softly. He'd just grunt. Yeah, time to turn in your homework. Another. Yeah. Then he'd lazily hand it over. Every time I turned to leave, Jason would call after me. Wait, what is it? Do you need something, Jason? He'd jerk his chin toward his desk. That yogurt. Take it away. It annoys me just looking at it. Oh, okay. So I'd carefully remove it, and Jason would look oddly satisfied. A little smile twitching at the corners of his mouth. But aside from those homework exchanges, we never talked. I couldn't imagine why he'd ever like me. Jason's life was public knowledge now that he was a superstar. I'd read all about him online. Fans turned his story into legend, how he went from a failing student to a top scholar in just 4 months, aced the college exam, and got into a top-tier university. But Jason wasn't satisfied he repeated the year and got into Tsinghua. So the real reason he repeated wasn't dissatisfaction, it was because of me. God, how dramatic! Seriously, how dramatic! Thank God he made it to Tsinghua anyway, or I'd die of guilt now. While I was spacing out, a notification pinged from the old phone. A new QQ message popped up. My heart skipped a beat. It was from Jason, from now. The message read, "Don't overthink. I really did like you in high school." I let out a breath. Okay, good, just high school. We were adults now. His standards must have gone up. Then the phone buzzed again. But Isabel, I still like you. Before I could reply, another message came in. I'm serious. One word, can I chase you? Chase me? Like I deserve that. I opened the chat box, typed and deleted for a while, then finally sent just 2 words. Don't bother. A voice message came instantly. Jason's amused tone, half laughing. Oh, I don't believe you. Rejection denied. I couldn't sleep that night. Not a wink. His words kept looping in my head. The next morning, with dark circles under my eyes, I dragged myself to the office. Looking at Jason's annoyingly handsome face made me grind my teeth. Still likes me? Yeah, right. Guess I was the only one losing sleep while he looked fresh as ever. Jason noticed right away, raising an eyebrow as he leaned closer. Couldn't sleep? Those dark circles don't tell me it's because of me? I stepped back, forcing a smile. Of course not. I just naturally have dark circles. Jason's eyes gleamed with amusement. Oh, sure, I believe you. As his assistant, I had to stick by his side during the shoot literally every second. But as soon as we entered the set, I felt everyone's eyes on me. It took me a moment to realize why Jason was holding an umbrella over me, and he had my girly handbag slung over his shoulder. I froze. Wait, wasn't that my job? Totally backwards. I snatched my bag and took the umbrella from him. Jason, let me hold it. He looked down, puzzled. What's wrong? I straightened up and said firmly, this is my job. It's my responsibility. Jason looked at my serious face, then chuckled softly. He reached out and adjusted the strap of my bag that I hadn't worn right. Got it, he said. He was so tall that I had to raise the umbrella really high. Suddenly, his large hands wrapped around mine. The unexpected touch sent a shiver through me. Ignoring the stunned looks around us, Jason lowered my hand gently to a more comfortable height. You don't have to hold it so high. I can bend down. His words burned hotter than the sun. Honestly, it'd be a lie to say my heart didn't skip a beat, especially with a face like his, so close. But work kept me grounded. I stepped back slightly. It's fine. This is what I'm supposed to do. Jason's eyes dimmed a little. All right, I'll go shoot then. Find somewhere with a little shade. No need to hover around me, you'll get sunburned. And with that, he walked off to the makeup artist. He and Jessica had worked together several times before, so they had great chemistry. The shoot went smoothly. News of their collaboration had already been hyped online, and with both of them being so popular, public attention was huge. When a paparazzo posted behind-the-scenes footage from the shoot, the internet exploded. Fans of their CP pairing were ecstatic. One photo, thanks to the camera angle, made them look incredibly close. It was their fourth project together, and within hours, rumors spread that Jason and Jessica were dating, complete with evidence of matching outfits. The stunning duo of beauty and charm even won over casual onlookers, flooding Shenghua's official website with messages like, "Blessings, 9,000,000, 999,999. The shoot had been going on for a week now, and Jason's kindness toward me was impossible to ignore. He was a man of high status in the industry, cold and distant to most, yet somehow always different with me. He constantly looked after me, noticing every small detail if I so much as frowned. He'd tug on my sleeve and ask if I wasn't feeling well. He took care of me like I was a child, but I was supposed to be his assistant. Even the crew, influenced by him, started speaking more carefully around me. Jessica and I had become friends, and when the rumors about her and Jason blew up, she pulled me aside, looking guilty. "Belle, please don't misunderstand. There's absolutely nothing between me and Jason. Heaven and earth can testify." I smiled and tugged her to sit. "No worries, I didn't misunderstand. I know you and Jason are just colleagues. You don't owe me an explanation." Jessica let out a sigh of relief. "If I didn't explain, Jason's glare alone would have killed me. You have no idea how scary he looks when he's mad." Jason never lost his temper with me, and after spending some time together, I wasn't as afraid of him as I'd been in high school. I gently patted Jessica's back to soothe her. "Are you upset about all this? You seem down today." Jessica exhaled hard, letting everything spill out. "This rumor blew up so bad, even my mum believes it now, not to mention everyone else. I wanted to clear things up, but my company told me to stay quiet to ride Jason's wave of publicity. Normally I'd let it slide, but this time I had a real reason not to." Jessica's brows were furrowed tight, so I reached out and smoothed them. "Be bold. Do what you want. Nobody gets out of this life alive anyway." My words lit her up. She gave me a thumbs up. "Belle, you're seriously good at this comfort thing." The shoot was nearing its end. Today was the last day. After this, Jason and I probably wouldn't see each other again. He'd always been dazzling, and my heart still fluttered at every small thing he did for me. But the gap between us was too wide. Even though he was always so sincere, I never felt worthy of him. I didn't want to risk affecting his career. Some people are just born in different worlds. I'd always been timid, taking even one step closer felt impossibly hard. Honestly, I hated that about myself. To avoid falling any deeper, I started keeping my distance from Jason. At the celebration dinner, Jason sat at the innermost seat, leaving the spot beside him open for me, but I didn't sit there. Under his brooding gaze, I forced myself to take another seat. The moment I did, his expression darkened, and the air in the private room instantly went cold. And of course, the seat beside me was occupied by a male colleague. No one dared breathe too loud. It was painfully awkward. Barely 20 minutes in, the poor guy beside me looked like he was about to faint, silently begging me for help with his eyes. Jason's gaze had never left him, sharp and dangerous. The pressure was so intense my colleague could hardly sit still. I was about to get up when Jason suddenly drained his glass and stood. "Sorry, everyone. Something came up. Isabel and I have to leave first. Please, continue without us. The bill's on me." Then he dragged me out without another word. At the corner, he stopped, let go of my wrist, and lit a cigarette. My knees were trembling. "Ja, Jason." He gave a short laugh. "Not bad, Isabel. Got a bit of temper now. So, tell me, what did I do wrong this time?" You didn't do anything, I said softly, coughing a little from the smoke. Jason glanced at me, flicked the ash off, and crushed the cigarette under his shoe. If you're avoiding me, at least give me a reason. I took a step back. I'm not avoiding you. Jason let out a humorless chuckle. Really? I looked at you several times at dinner and you kept dodging my eyes. That's not avoiding? I dropped my gaze. He stepped closer, his tone low and threatening. Don't hide from me again. If you do, I'll make sure to endorse all your company's products. Then you'll have to be my assistant forever. I stared at him, stunned, ruthless. He'd actually managed to threaten me into compliance. I quickly grabbed his hand and smiled. Okay, I won't avoid you. Jason seemed satisfied and ruffled my hair. Good girl. I'll take you home. In the car, Jason was unusually quiet the whole ride. From the look on his face, he seemed deep in thought. Then, whatever he'd been thinking about must have pleased him. His lips curved slightly in a faint smile. As I reached for the door handle, Jason called out, Isabel! Yeah? His smile widened. I know I didn't handle those rumors with Jessica very well. But if you were jealous, I'm kind of happy about it. So that's what he'd been thinking about this whole time. What kind of nonsense was that? I got out of the car even faster. Jason reached out to tug my sleeve. Slow down. Watch your step. I turned back and said, seriously, I wasn't jealous. Jason's expression said otherwise, like he knew exactly what I was feeling. That's fine. Being jealous is a good thing. Don't worry. I'll clear everything up tomorrow. His tone was light, almost cheerful. I could tell he was in a good mood. I wanted to explain that I really wasn't jealous, but he didn't listen. The next morning, at exactly 9, Jessica and Jason both posted clarifications on Weibo. But Jessica's post shocked everyone. Her sweet, gentle public image shattered completely. Her post read, So, if someone doesn't get angry, you all think they're a fool. Stop saying Jason and I are together. He's not my type. My secret relationship was just starting to make progress, and you guys totally ruined it. Thanks a lot. I was this close to winning over my bossy boyfriend, and now he's practically gone abroad from all this mess. Please stop spreading rumors. If I can't make it up to him, I swear I'll punch the world into dust. Screaming, crawling, twisting, breaking apart. Am I mad? Of course not. I'm just barely holding it together. Jessica single-handedly diverted everyone's attention. People started worrying about her mental health. On the phone, Jason sounded irritated. Damn it! Why didn't I think of doing that first? Meanwhile, I stared at Jason's Weibo page on my screen. His post read, Hello everyone. Sorry to interrupt for a moment. To clarify, Jessica and I are just work partners. There's someone I like. A girl I've liked since I was young. A girl I fell for at first sight. The one and only. A girl whose every word makes me pause and think before replying. A girl I miss, but hesitate to disturb for fear of being too forward. From youth till now, it's taken me a long time to get close to her. She's timid, so please be gentle with her. Don't scare her. My heart pounded as I read his words. I couldn't ignore what I felt anymore, the warmth blooming uncontrollably inside me. Maybe I could be brave for once. I lifted my phone and whispered, Jason. Yeah? Let's meet. Okay. Stay where you are. I'll come to you. But we never met. Right after we hung up, Jason ran into trouble. He called to tell me, Isabel, don't worry. Once I take care of this, I'll come find you. After their clarification, angry CP fans went crazy online, accusing Jason of being a school bully back in high school. There was even a video attached. I clicked it. It showed a group surrounding Jason, and Jason knocking them down one by one. My blood ran cold. I knew that scene. I'd been there. Those guys on the ground were the notorious bullies who'd tormented me more than once. I had no idea why they picked a fight with Jason, but I'd witnessed him taking them down. I hadn't realized someone else was recording. I didn't pity them, they were cruel, taking pleasure in bullying others. So many students had suffered because of them. If anyone was guilty of bullying, it was them. I didn't think Jason had provoked them, they just messed with the wrong guy. Thanks to him, things were peaceful for a while. They stopped bothering anyone at our school. But people only believe what they see. In the video, those guys looked like the victims. Public opinion turned against Jason immediately. One fan timidly tried to defend him. But there were so many of them, Jason was alone. Who's bullying who, really? Countless users shot back. Are you blind? Didn't you see how bad those boys got beaten? 6,666. Classic delusional fan behavior. Brain-dead fans, take your sword and get lost. Can Jason's fans stop already? So annoying. That poor fan was bullied into silence. Just as the controversy hit its peak, Jason went live without telling anyone at his company. The PR team scrambled to catch up. On the live stream, Jason looked at the flood of hate comments and smiled calmly. His voice was steady. If the girl I like gets bullied, and I had another chance, I'd still beat them again. Sorry, but I don't have it in me to just stand by and do nothing. Watching someone I care about get hurt and doing nothing? Not happening. I stared at the screen, stunned. So, Jason had fought them because of me? Back then, I'd seen him fighting and thought that was what made him dangerous. Now, my chest felt tight, heavy with guilt. I opened Weibo and wrote about what really happened, how those thugs had bullied me. This time, Jason, let me help you. My post inspired others who'd been bullied by the same group to speak up, and the tide of public opinion began to shift. So a bunch of them couldn't even take Jason down? What a legend. Come on, this was clearly him standing up for justice. Haters, stop spreading lies. Sorry for misunderstanding him. No wonder he's so popular. Jason, can you open a self-defense class for us? Please teach us how to handle bullies. As the online mood turned in his favor, I finally relaxed. After days of tension, relief flooded through me, along with one overpowering thought. I missed him so much, so I decided to go see him. I changed clothes, opened my door, and froze. Jason was standing there in a black windbreaker, leaning against the wall, a cigarette between his lips, a metal lighter rolling between his fingers. Several cigarette butts littered the ground. He'd clearly been there for a while. Jason, I called softly. The moment he saw me, he crushed the cigarette, hurriedly crouched down to pick up the butts. Sorry, he said, fumbling for words. I missed you, but I didn't want to bother you. Thought I could smoke it off. I walked over and took his hand. How long have you been here? Why didn't you knock? There was a trace of guilt in his eyes. I was scared you'd already be asleep. My eyes stung with tears. Jason, I wanted to see you too. My gaze fell to his lips. His eyes darkened. His Adam's apple bobbed as his voice turned rough. I just smoked. It'll taste bad. I met his eyes. I don't care, you. Before I could finish, his warm lips were on mine. I felt tears fall onto my collarbone, his or mine. I couldn't tell. That night, we kissed like fire. Jason and I were finally together. He was so proud, saying it was the best thing he'd ever done. That tall man held me close, whispering memories from years ago. At midnight, on his birthday, he posted on Weibo. Hi everyone. Let me introduce you, this is my girlfriend. At Isabel, the internet exploded. Weibo crashed. Attached was a candid photo. It was a sweltering afternoon. The gardenias were in bloom. Cicadas droned endlessly. The classroom was quiet during lunch break. Only Jason sat there, smiling faintly at the camera, flashing a peace sign. In the foreground was a girl, head down, working through her exercises. Jason's gaze lingered only on her. The girl wasn't remarkable, but she filled most of the frame, because in Jason's eyes, she was the focus. Here's a secret. The girl buried in her workbook was 17-year-old me. My insecure yet shining 17. The year of clumsy hard work, of stubborn pride, of a burning youth that knew nothing but effort. The cicada's tireless song was the answer to that silent, blazing affection. The cicadas knew, and I would always bow to that fierce, endless love.